Hey guys, how you doing? I hope you're all well. So today I want to talk about blind loyalty and what it leads to. So let's get straight into it. Recently, with the launch of Palworld 1.0, the gaming world has been at each other's throats. Well, 98% of people are actually fine and they're loving the game and are enjoying it, but the fanboys, they're mad and have been mad for quite some time because their daddy, Nintendo, couldn't win the lawsuit over the nonsense they sued Pocketpair for, and now the only thing they can do is throw temper tantrums online and basically be a bunch of keyboard warriors that just keep writing one ridiculous article after another. Today I want to focus mainly on one particular aspect of this ongoing lawsuit. So bear with me. We have articles saying Pocketpair stole designs. Well, first and foremost, there was never such a thing. And even if they did, well then let me ask you this. Where do you think Nintendo got their own ideas from to create creature designs for Pokemon? You see, you have to have inspiration from somewhere, right? I have always had this outlook that gaming is an extension of reality, in which we see things that are being presented to us, but we also see things that aren't. So, with the power of our imagination, we create things in our minds in a unique way, which in this case, majority of the inspiration that Nintendo had to create the Pokemon designs came from Dragon Quest. So in a way, you could argue, well, they stole too, which is ridiculous because the character designs and the core concept arts, however close to Dragon Quest, were still originally done by Satoshi Tajiri, which then later on the lead artist from Game Freak team, Ken Sugimori, finalized and illustrated them. I'm going to come back to this point, which revolves around inspiration later on in this video, so bear with me. Pocketpair was never actually sued for their designs. On November 8, 2024, Pocketpair publicly disclosed the patents and the three specific issues they dealt with. Firstly, the system for using capture items to catch characters in a virtual space, including aiming and throwing mechanics. Secondly, aiming system for deploying capture items, including the real-time capture probability indicators. And last but not least, the system for writable and mountable characters. Nowhere in these issues says they were sued for assets or specific character designs, which Pocketpair themselves responded. They said they had conducted legal checks before the launch of the game. So how does this feed into my point of the argument? You might say, well, the aspect of creative design is one thing, which is now out of the question. Then everyone else can move on, but that's exactly my point here. This issue alone explains one aspect of this entire case between Nintendo and Pocketpair so well that I think more people need to focus on. You see, the problem doesn't solely fall onto Nintendo alone. I understand Nintendo is the one who's trying like its hardest to squeeze Palworld financially and morally discouraging an indie studio and stop them in their tracks, but the deranged Pokemon fanboys are the real problem, not the company. This blind loyalty is what has enabled companies like Nintendo to do whatever they want and get away with it. Nintendo has been able to monopolize the entire industry that wants to create creature capture-like games because the very deranged fanboys have enabled them. If for once they had said, what are you guys doing? Why can't anybody else make similar games? And how can you call your practices fair? Then, what we have seen happen to Palworld would have never even become a thought, let alone a lawsuit of its stature, that would keep them from actually focusing on the development of the game. Which I commend them for, actually. Despite all the shit that has come their way from Nintendo, they have brought back almost 1 million players, which is mind-blowing. By these ridiculous fanboys always defending Nintendo and not holding the company accountable, they have helped enable Nintendo into having a monopoly over the stupidest things ever. I understand this part might be a bit of a tangent, but please, stick with me. You'll understand my point by the end of it. Guys, we are talking about fundamental things. And this is the part about the inspiration when I said I'm going to come back to. For example, you want to go outside and buy groceries, but it's raining. So what do? You grab your umbrella and your jacket. Or you get home from work after a long day, You throw your bag on the couch and you rest. The action of grabbing or throwing something is a real world thing that inspires the developers to recreate that within games. You can't patent something as fundamental as throwing an object. What if a company that makes FPS shooter games wants to patent throwing a grenade, something as simple as that? This is what I'm trying to say. If Nintendo wins this battle, then this would set a very dangerous precedent in which you would see people suing one another for some of the most asinine things ever. If anything, throwing an object should be patented by someone's parents. Because what do we do when we're kids? The first time someone hands us a toy, we take a good look at it and we don't understand what it is. So immediately we throw it away. Because at that early age, we still can't comprehend what we're holding. It's a toy. We're supposed to play with it, not supposed to throw it away. But we do. What I'm trying to say that these are functional gameplay sequences. Control inputs, processing, which then leads to displaying the actions. They're not a bunch of specific codes or art designed by a particular and specific person. With all that said, Pocketpair made compromises. They made decisions to take preventative measures as to help take the strain off of themselves and not let what was being done by Nintendo to them stifle their progress. They removed the ability to summon pals by throwing pal spheres. They changed gliding so players use a glider item rather than directly mounting a pal. And Pocketpair went on to express that these changes were made specifically due to litigations. They made Pocketpair do all sorts of gymnastics and evidently still couldn't stop Palworld from succeeding. In late 2025, Nintendo's related patent application, which was part of the same monster capture patent family, was rejected by the Japan Patent Office. The examiner reviewed it and concluded that the claimed mechanics already existed in earlier games, such as Ark Survivor Evolved. This game already had creature taming and capturing systems, and had status effect projectiles, such as tranquilizer darts or similar throwable items, aiming mechanics, and ways to affect or capture wild creatures in an open world environment. Craftopia, which is Pocketpair's own earlier game, featured creature capturing systems that involved throwing or deploying items to catch monsters. Both of these games had gameplay systems that existed before the case-relevant patent date that Nintendo had originally filed in December 2021. And it gets worse. After Nintendo got rejected in court because their arguments held no water, they reportedly reworded aspects of one patent mid-case, which just goes to highlight how vulnerable they are. These guys are scared that Palworld would become successful and they would lose their audience, which is funny. Every time someone tries to destroy a successful game, it only makes people even more interested in playing that particular game. Curiosity kicks in. I'm the same, man. I had never played a creature capturing game. So when I saw all this commotion and all the noise, and then actually went on to find out that Palworld is consistently at the top of the charts, I was like, what the hell, man? Let me give it a try. That is what everyone does. We saw that with Hogwarts Legacy. There was a website created to find streamers who are playing the game so people could go and basically crash into their chat and talk shit and get them canceled. Which not only didn't work, the game sold over 40 million copies. You can play Palworld on any platform and the game actually looks amazing. Of course, there's a need for more polishing and refinement, but that's with any game. Why would anyone want to subject themselves to buying Pokemon Z, a product that is extremely lacking and looks half-assed, and you can only play it on a Nintendo, and is overpriced as hell, when you can have a much more reasonably priced alternative that actually has uniqueness and a great gameplay, like Palworld? Now let me simplify the problem and the repercussions of these actions. All of this enabling by the ludicrous Pokemon fans leads to one thing, and that is monopoly. It's the monopoly over something that ruins every aspect of that particular thing. If these guys keep getting away with suing everyone for every reason they deem worthy, then there will come a day that they will even argue hey guys, we patent breathing in the game. I mean, honestly, imagine if you let these guys, they will even patent away a character breathes or grabs something, which is ridiculous. The mechanism in which you throw something to summon something else is ridiculous because it literally incentivizes that a particular company has monopoly over a functional action that is an integral part of the game functioning properly. Imagine there is a patent where it says if the character grabs an object with the right hand, then we can sue you. But if it grabs it with the left hand, oh no, that's fine, it's okay. See how ridiculous that sounds? By filing a patent for something as crazy as grabbing or throwing an object, it means you're trying to squeeze and discourage the rest of the industry, including the small studios, which basically kills the competition and limits everybody else to a point where they won't even try to create a game. Which is also ironic because Nintendo has tried and sued and also put Pokemon Z out there. And the game just looks so half-baked and bare bones that I don't even understand why people defend them. These fanboys jump on the bandwagon and regurgitate the same thing that comes out of the mouth of these corporate shills, which I don't understand. Is Nintendo your daddy's company? Or someone close to you works there? Their services have declined heavily over the years, and these guys pay more and more each year to a company that is literally known for just suing others. It's so easy for them. It's like drinking water over the most ridiculous and obnoxious things ever. Then they turn around and charge you $59.99 for Switch 1 and $69.99 for Switch 2 edition of Pokemon Z. The overpriced game they sell these fanboys couldn't be more bare bones. And instead of standing up to them, they blindly defend them. This is what I meant earlier. This is blind loyalty to a company that couldn't care less about you because they're only interested in how much money they can line their pockets with. And instead of criticizing and holding them accountable, these dumbasses wake up every day and thank them. Oh, thank you for charging us more. Thank you for giving us a barely developed game. Thank you that you're charging a AAA game price and it doesn't even match your services. I mean, even if the game was actually somewhat good or looked half decent, you could justify the price to some extent. These guys would rather go online and keep calling others who are enjoying Pal World pal shills and whatnot, then actually see if there is any competition. Maybe Nintendo will finally get off their ass and actually do something of substance for once. And if you criticize their childish behavior, they throw temper tantrums. The other day, I was listening to another content creator that, like myself, likes DMC a lot. And he was criticizing Dante's look in DMC 5. Now, I listened to him and I disagreed, because I understood that the argument was fundamentally based on taste and preferences. But I still respect him because, just like how he didn't like Dante's look, I think Trish and Lady looked immensely better in DMC4. They were heavily toned down in DMC5. But at the end of the day, that's my preference. And we are both mature enough to understand and respect one another. These Nintendo fanboys are so immature that not only their favorite corporation keeps losing court rounds after rounds, but instead of taking the L and actually shutting up, they keep writing stuff and try to paint Palworld in a bad light. Which is ironic because in spite of all that, Palworld keeps shattering one record after another. They entered the top 10 games ever played on Steam for the second time in a row, which is absolutely huge for them. Hopefully, Palworld will win so this doesn't lead to more monopoly and corporate greed. I think we all have had our fill of these multi-billion-dollar companies getting their way every time and killing the competition when the smaller guy tries to make something for himself. And hopefully these crazy Pokemon fans will come to their senses and stop enabling Nintendo with blind loyalty. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation with Nintendo and Pocketpair. As always, I appreciate you listening to me. I hope you have a great day. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace be with you.